I think that they were hoping for at least 1 in 3, to be quite honest, before they started to roll it out. I think that really had them pull back, and I think that's why no one's covering right now that they're ready and poised for pandemic level 6. Pandemic level 6. They're just going to say, well, we have to consider the severity of the disease as well. It's not just blanket pandemic level 6. Well, it is blanket pandemic level 6, but we're going to pick and choose where it's the most severe, and that's where the bad things will happen. But again, you're giving them all these rights, carte blanche, basically. The World Health Organization, within days, is going to declare the first influenza pandemic in 41 years. They're saying that 125 deaths around the world are the reason. I can't even say that 125 people have died in this country. All we know from the mainstream media is the first people that they were trying to pin it on had other illnesses, and then all of a sudden everybody was dying from the swine flu. But I never saw anybody in the mask. I didn't see a real pandemic. I didn't see an outbreak of regular flu. But they're saying, oh, it's going to mutate. It's going to piggyback on this regular flu. It's coming to get you. Ooh, the boogeyman. And then they prep you with things like Earth 2100, pandemic levels, quarantines. What will it be like in this country if the troops start lining up to quarantine people? What nightmare scenario could impose that? Will it be another terrorist attack by Al-Qaeda? I mean, give me a break. While, Barack Obama is over in Saudi Arabia kissing the tushy of the prince there, I think it's Faisal, while they're buddying it up, the new Osama bin Laden tape comes out. Oh, I'm Osama bin Laden and I'm coming to get you. And your policies in the Middle East have to speak louder than words. In a way, that's true. He says he's going to get out of the Middle East. He's not getting out of the Middle East. See, they always make it legitimate when they put out something phony like this to make you think, oh, there's a possibility he's still alive and he's really talking about it. Meanwhile, you have a head intelligence official from the United States saying none of the bin Laden tapes have ever been faked. No, they're all 100% real. All the audio tapes, all the videotapes of the boogeyman, but we can't find him. We just can't find Osama bin Laden. It's just been so hard. The number one terror threat out there. And we're not allowed to see Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in an open court system, in a real trial. We can't see that. We can just read about how he was waterboarded 183 times over a 3-month period. Over a 3-month period. That's admitted. I mean, what crimes did this guy commit? What was his role? I mean, he could have been involved in some aspect of the plot, not even known anywhere near the full-scale picture, because they love to compartmentalize roles. And it's an international intelligence organization. In other words, they're shipping money in from both Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. They're training the hijackers on U.S. bases. Able Danger is following some of these guys. They can't get the FBI to look at them. And the FBI says they know about 2 of them, but the CIA didn't warn them about some of them. But the CIA should have known, and so should the FBI, because the FBI had an informant renting and living with 2 of the hijackers. I mean, it reeks of a black op. Reeks of it. Reeks of it. And that international intelligence organization has never been dismantled. It's only grown bigger and bigger and bigger. And the Middle East is one of their prizes, one of their gems. They want that Eurasian Union. They want that North American Union. They want that new world order. I'm sitting in the office earlier today, and I'm just going through all these DVDs because we're kind of moving around for an editing suite, getting another editor in there for Invisible Empire, which I've been working on. And I found this George Bush speech. Basically, it was it was like 5 or 6 speeches while he was the president of the United States. And a lot of them I had seen, but some of them I had not seen. And they were new angles. And this guy laid it out. He wanted a new world order. And he wasn't the guy who thought about it. He wasn't the first one to say new world order. Hitler wrote about it in his diaries. H.G. Wells wrote a book about it. It had been written about long before that. And it continues to be spoken about, especially by Henry Kissinger, who has been advising just about every administration since he supposedly left office. There's a backdoor guy. There's a guy that helped the Bush administration in ways that we can't even imagine. And that continues to advise the Obama administration. That has a globalist agenda where population control is not only acceptable but encouraged. Where genocide is the norm. Where it's okay to talk about biospecific weapons for races and gender. These are the kind of things they put in policy papers. They talk about in think tanks. And they're not talking about them and theirs. They're not talking about them. Oh, I doubt they're going to inject themselves with a bioweapon. They're talking about you and yours, the middle class, the poor, the third world nations out there. That's who they're talking about. The general populace, the sheeple, the chattel. That's what they think of you. You're nothing more than an animal to them when they talk about gender-specific bioweapons and them injecting you with it. And that's what this whole swine flu thing is eventually going to be about. Just injecting you in the arm with a delicious dose of H1N whatever. And then you're starting to cough. It's not that bad. They tried to save me. I'm going to make my way through it. The government loves me. Meanwhile, you'll be in your FEMA camp asking for your government cheese and your blanket and hoping your kid's going to make it too. It's the InfoWarrior with Jason Bermas. Back after this.
The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at InfoWars.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.
2 nights ago, we covered that Walmart had said, hey, we got job growth. 22,000 new jobs this year, no problem. Then last night we covered 170 new and expanded stores this year alone. And now Walmart's set new buyback plan, $15 billion in shares.
Yeah, after a big battle, Bermas, when there's a bunch of dead, the maggots, the carrion crows, the buzzards, they all do quite well. Mm-hmm. And that's what this parasitic system Walmart does. They bring in the slave goods. They destroy all their competition, not through free market, but through criminality. And then as everything else sinks, they do better.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to be where everybody has to go for a job. There's nice health programs. There's health bans now, Jones. Walmart won't be that bad to work for. And hopefully they're going to set nice dormitories up in this country like the ones they do for the good folks in China.
Absolutely. You know, I want to break something down. Yeah, they're saying they're going to create the little youth corps and little work centers where you get $2 an hour working for them directly for the slave goods, and then further displace and bankrupt all the little main streets across the country. I'm going to go home here in a moment. I'm going to be listening to you as I drive home on the local radio station. I am going to attempt to do something with my own radio show and with your radio show because you've been doing a great job down here with really little or no input from me in basic radio etiquette, and so you've done a fabulous job with no input. Years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I would do the show where it was programmed. And programmed just means we're covering this topic here. We're taking calls in this area. This guest is here. I tend to get on the air now and just rant for hours. And people know probably take 3 or 4 phone calls a day some days now because I can have unlimited calls. It's because I'm so into the material. I'm so obsessed with covering it all and all the facets. And you know, that I can talk 10 hours a day. I'm here right now. But at the same time, I keep getting incredible calls from police and military and sources. And the few days a week when I actually do take a lot of calls, such key info comes out. But then they always complain, hey, when you do finally open the phones up, it's all these regulars who fill the lines up first, and then I can't get on. So I'm going to start at least 2 days a week saying first-time callers, because we have huge audiences, so they have a chance to get through. And the reason I realize this is lately I've had like 5, 6 guests on in a row. And it'll be about a specific issue, say eminent domain, stealing people's property, or somebody running for governor in Texas. And the callers say, because we don't really screen calls, but if it's every once in a while I say it's for this guest.
Yeah.
Or it's for this woman, and, or we want calls about the CPS today. They will not do it. They will deliberately, very rudely, and I'm not talking about the general audience, but some of these callers call in. So, and I think it's because our lack of discipline ourselves to say, hey, it's a free-for-all, whatever you want to talk about today. And that'll be most days or 2 or 3 days a week when we're opening the phones up. Mm-hmm. We don't have a guest on. But when we're talking about America's Secret Beginnings or something, and somebody calls in about the Patriot Act, we're taking calls about America's Secret Beginnings. I
remember when I had Ray McGovern on the show, and I had somebody calling about Dracula's bloodlines. I'm like, I got Ray McGovern, 26-year.
No, I know. So what I'm saying is, to the network, to my guys here, to you, to everybody, this has gone on too long. Because, I mean, it's getting out of control. I want you to say right now, disconnect all the lines at Genesis, hang them up. Callers, you're great, but I'm sorry, you're hung up on. You can, okay? Hang them up right now. We're going to open the phones up for the next 2 hours, and we're going to take calls from first-time callers who never get in. They always pull up. There's a big line at the hamburger place. They've never gotten a chance to have one of these hamburgers in the InfoWar. We're going to give them a big, juicy cheeseburger with extra onions. Sounds good to me. So, and we got to put a few topics out here, too, because I've noticed I say, yeah, plug stuff when you call in. Half the callers just call in and plug, I'm selling a tractor. Here's my radio show. Here's my website. By the way, I run a website that attacks you. I'm plugging it. You know, the issue is the listeners don't like it. They're complaining to me. So what we're going to do is, when we come back in 1 minute, I'm supposed to go and watch a movie with my wife tonight. I got to call and I'll be a little bit late. We're going to come back, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to announce with you some of the stuff you were telling me about before the show tonight, things you're interested in.